Namaste everyone. Welcome to Hindu Center of Atlanta's weekly spiritual learning program for the adults. Today we are joined with Acharya Brahmadevji. Acharya will be talking today about the universal Vedic values from Ramayana and Mahabharata. Acharya Brahmadevji has an education in science, banking, management, and Darshanacharya Vedic philosophy, Darshan Yoga Mahavidyalaya, and a diverse career in financial services, industry, and at Arya Sabha Mauritius. He has been a key resource person for Arya Sabha Mauritius on the universal Vedic values, yoga and meditation, and on interfaith and intercultural dialogue at various national and international forums. The Mauritius Council of Religions, Arya Pratinidhi Sabha America, Greater Atlanta Vedic Temple, and Hindu Center of Atlanta Yoga and Meditation Center in common. He is author of numerous insightful articles on Vedic philosophy and contemporary issues in English. Over to Acharya.
Namaste, everybody. Let's bring our mind to focus. Sit down straight, close the eyes gently. Deep inhale and exhale, and while exhaling, we are going to chant Om. During the Om chanting, we'll listen to our own chanting, the vibrations of the sound waves going away and coming back to us. Just focus on the sound waves, the vibrations. Slowly, gently open the eyes. Welcome and namaste again. We always talk about Vedic values, quoting from Vedas, quoting from Manusmriti and other texts. Today we'll look into the Vedic values from what we know as itihas, historical records or epics as we know them. As we know in the 5 tests of truth in the Vedic Hindu philosophy, we have first the Vedas and whatever conform with the Vedas and the nature of God. Second, whatever conforms with the laws of nature. Third, what conforms with the teachings and practices of after the Vedic seers, rishis. Then we have the purity of the consciousness or purity and conviction of the mind. And we have the 8 pramans or evidences. And the Mahabharata and the Ramayana will come into itihas, and that will come into one of the 8 praman, which is itihas, historical records. Ramayana in the Treta Yuga. We all know about the Chaturyug, Satyug, Treta, Dwapar, Kali Yuga. Ramayana, Sri Ram lived in the era of Treta Yuga, and Sri Krishna, the key person or character of the Mahabharata, was in the Dwapar Yuga. Ramayana, it's the story or the biography or the historical records of the lives the life of Ram. And if we look at Ram, he is known as Maryada Purushottam Shri Ram Chandra Ji. Maryada, and Maryada is known, is referring to somebody who lives within a framework. And that framework was the universal Vedic values. Sri Ram Chandra Ji, Maryada Purushottam, Uttam Purush, person of the highest virtue. Shri, with respect, Ram was his name, and Chandra, often the name Chandra is given to somebody with a brilliant personality, not at birth, but is added as a title. And this is what is there in, look at the name is Rama. But then when we add all the titles and the respect, it's Maryada Purushottam Shri Ram Chandra Ji. Rama is two alphabets, Ra, vowel A, and Ma. Then Maryada Purushottam Shri Ram Chandra Ji. The beauty of his character, which makes all the titles longer than his name. Maryada, he was a person who lived within the boundaries of self-discipline, social discipline. Self-discipline, we see that since early childhood. As an obedient, respectful, and respected child. Respectful because he always paid respect to all around him, whether be it people who were elder or more knowledgeable, or even people who were younger to him or less knowledgeable than him. Then, if we look into the characteristic of Sri Ramchandra Ji, when he grows as an adolescent, going to the kutir, to the hermit of Rishi Vashisht, to protect the performance of the yajnas by the rishis. There also he proved himself as an exemplary warrior at this tender age. Onwards, getting married to Sita Ji, again proving himself to be the ideal husband. So ideal son, ideal brother, ideal husband. And when he also goes into the fight with Ravan. And at that time, in the Treta Yuga, Ravan was the epitome of badness. And he fought a war on ethics with proper respect of the rules of law in whatever had to be fought against. And when he returns to Ayodhya, he becomes the ideal ruler. Just because he was always truthful, always honest. And we all know the saying, Raghukula Reet Sada Chali Ai Prana Jaye Par Vachan Na Jaye. That was the tradition of the Raghukul, that is the lineage of Raghu, of whom Sri Ramchandra Ji was a descendant. What was the tradition? prana jaye par vachan na jaye. So it was the better option for them to sacrifice their life rather than letting go of the word given, of the commitment given to somebody else. So that shows the high respect that they had for the universal Vedic values from the Vedas, from the Upanishads, from the Darshan Shastras, etc. And how come they got that? One, it was the performance of the Putreshti Yajdi Garbhadhan Sanskar to beget of children of the highest order by the father Dashrath ji, observing celibacy before going into relationship to beget a child. And moreover, even if there were princes, Ram and the three brothers, Bharat, Lakshman, and Shatrughna, they were sent to Gurukul like any other child to learn from the Guru. There was no distinction whether he was a prince or the other students were children of, as we say, probably deprived backgrounds. Where in the Gurukul, the tradition is that all children, whether coming from the princely or royal families, or whether it be a child of a pauper. And the key learning of Gurukul is not only the academic education, it was the holistic approach to education, inculcating the life skills as well as the living values. And that's why when we see from the Valmiki Ramayana, as and when Ram grows from a child to adolescent, from adolescent to youth, and from youth to adulthood, he also grows in values. He also grows in the respect that people pay to him, not because he was a prince, but only because he was a truthful, honest person and somebody who always aligned his thoughts, his words, and his actions. That's the beauty of the character of Sri Ram Chandra ji. If we look at the other key personality of the Ramayana, we would think probably of Lakshman. But I think let's look at Veer Hanuman, the Param Bhakta of Sri Ram. We all know, let's not look at the Valmiki Ramayana for now, but let's look at the Hanuman Chalisa. What it says, Kandhe Munj Janev. So he was the learned brahmachari with the Janev, that is, having the free reins, paying respect, one, to the parents, second, to the gurus, that is Pitririn, Rishirin, and Devrin, to God. And then we all know the feats that he achieved because only he was a brahmachari, respectful of celibacy. Other characteristic which we'll look, just have a glimpse, time, frame, respected, a glimpse of the personality of Veer Hanuman. We'll see when Ram describes his first meeting with Hanuman to Lakshman. He describes Hanumanji as sweet, soft spoken, learned in Sanskrit, and a scholar of the Vedas and the Vedic knowledge. And not only a scholar with a bookish knowledge, but a scholar who applied the knowledge in his daily life. Other characteristic, if we look at Lakshman, slightly hot-tempered, but each time when Ram brings him to reason, he listens and then reason out and then realizes that such hot-tempered doesn't lead much ahead. The beauty of the other characteristic would be Sitaji, Arya Putri, and she herself addresses Sri Ramji as Arya Putra in the Valmiki Ramayana. Arya means person with the highest or most noble in thoughts, words, and deeds. In gun, karma, swabhav. Character, gun, karma, actions, swabhav, nature, and temperament. Even if we look at, say, the personalities in the negative role, first Kaikeyi. Kaikeyi was a brilliant warrior who saved the life of King Dashrath at one time when he went out in the forest. But then he grows to infamy because she listened to evil counsel of mantra. So one single event which fades out or erases out all the good achievements that she did. The other personality to learn from is Ravan. Very learned scholar, but with bookish knowledge. Couldn't apply that knowledge in day-to-day life. And instead of running a life full of virtue, he unfortunately fell into vice, into lust, and then lost his life in the battle. Those were a few episodes of a few of the characters of the key roles in the Ramayana. Now, if we want to reach, then we'll have to do an analysis just as we do in the study of literature or in the study of history. And remember, Ramayana is not a fable or man-made story. It's historical records of great personalities of the Vedic era. Next time, we'll try to brush a bit about personalities of the second Itihas of the Vedic Hindu Dharma. We'll look into the Mahabharata. I just hope I've been able to brush about and bring some insight into the analysis of the various personalities of the Ramayana. So if you have any queries, just drop us a line on Facebook Messenger. The page is Hindu Center of Atlanta, or drop us a line on Gmail, Hindu Center of Atlanta @gmail.com. Thank you to Dhananjay for the closing.
Thank you, Acharya-ji. Acharya-ji explained today about the Ramayana, Vedic era of Ramayana, the characters who were very much influenced with the Vedas and they were living the Vedic lives. Acharya-ji explained about the Hanuman, Sri Ram, and Lakshman and Kaikeyi. Thank you, Acharya-ji, for your beautiful sermon today, and we hope to see you again with such insightful sermons in the future. Thank you. Just for the reminder, we have a Vedic satsang every Saturday morning, 10:30 a.m. Sanatan Dharma Simplified for the kids and young youth every Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and on Sunday evening, 9 p.m. We have a program for the spiritual learning for the adults. So to involve in these programs. At the end, Acharya will lead us for the Vedic home job.
Yeah, last words, just to remind everybody, running the program now from Atlanta instead of Mauritius.
Yes. Acharya has Atlanta after a long gap of 1.5 years, and Acharya will be leading the Vedic satsang at the Hindu Center of Atlanta every Saturday morning from there. You can join us in person. Thank you, Acharya.
So one Om job, and while doing the Om job, just focus on our own chanting. And if we practice that, we'll be able to bring moments of silence in our life where we'll be able to catch the guidance of the divinity within us, our own inner voice. Deep inhale. Namaste, everybody, and have a nice week.